everybody, Shot 16 back once again for the Renegade Master, back once again for another video. Yes, a special video, a memories video, because it is a console's 25th birthday. That's right, as I was recording this, it is Friday the 22nd of November. Whenever you see this, it might be a few days later, it might be a few weeks later, but right now it's Friday the 22nd of November, which means it is the Sega Saturn's 25th birthday. That's right, 1994 on this date the Sega Saturn was released in Japan. Us in the UK, we had to wait a little bit longer. Let me just look at my note. I've got my notes again. So yeah, we didn't get it in the UK until July the 8th, 1995. So yeah, quite a bit after Japan. But yeah, and North America, they got it just before us in May. So they got it a month before us. So there you go. So yeah, the Sega Saturn, 25 years old. That is mind-blowing when you think 25 years old. I mean, it just seems like yesterday that I remember getting mine, because I got mine in about January, February time like that. So it was either late January, early February when I got mine of 1996. So yeah, not long after launch. Well, what's that about 6 to 7 months or something after launch. Well, it's not that long really, is it? So yeah. But yeah, I was one of the people that actually got a Sega Saturn back in the day. Yeah, but it doesn't seem 25 years ago. I mean, I work with people that are younger than that, with adults. People that are now classed as adults are younger than that. Do you know what I mean? That's so weird. It's just so weird. That just 25 years, it just seemed to have... It's like, when you think about it in one sense, it's like it just seems like it was yesterday, but then when you think about it another, like, more deeply, you do think, yeah, shit, 25 years ago, it was a long time ago now when this all happened. So yeah, so like I said, people that are new to my channel might not know, but those of you that have been around here from the start or came along in the early days of the Shock 16 channel will know that this channel was mainly built on Sega Saturn videos, because it was all about me and my chase to get the full PAL Sega Saturn set, which, yeah, I did. I've had the full PAL Sega Saturn set now for years and years now. I think it was, what's it getting on for, about 3 years now since I completed that set. Could be a little bit longer, but yeah, sure, it's about 3 years now since I completed that set. So yeah, but that's used to be like the main focus on this channel was Sega Saturn. So I couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave this, I was going to say milestone then. I suppose it's a milestone for the Sega Saturn, but yeah, I couldn't leave this date, this birthday, a celebration for the Sega Saturn without talking about it, could I? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, 25 years. So yeah, I just thought that I'd make this into like a memories video and stuff like that, because I haven't done a memories video for ages now, have I? And I've got a few more videos lined up for the memories series that I want to pump out and stuff. So yeah, I thought I'd just throw this one in there, and it can be like a happy birthday memories all in one thing, can't it? So yeah, let me tell you my story and my memories of how I got a Sega Saturn, why I got a Sega Saturn, and what games I had for it and stuff like that. So yeah, the reason I wanted to get a Sega Saturn all came about because of another system that I never ended up getting in the day, and that system is the Nintendo 64. So yeah, I was a Super Nintendo kid, so I was a massive Nintendo fanboy and stuff like that, and I did like the Sega Mega Drive and the Master System and everything like that. But yeah, in the playground wars, you know, the console wars in the playground, I was very much Nintendo against Sega because I had the Super Nintendo. So yeah, I was a massive Nintendo fan back then, and when they announced that they was going to be releasing the Ultra 64, because that's what it was originally called, yeah, I was hyped for that. I was so hyped for the Ultra 64, And I can remember playing the the Killer Instinct arcade cabinet, where at the start it used to say, "Coming soon for your home, only on Ultra 64 in 1995" and stuff like that. Yeah, and then obviously it never got released, did it? We never got Killer Instinct on the Nintendo 64. Got Killer Instinct Gold, which is a port of Killer Instinct 2, but we never got the first game. But yeah, that was meant to be a launch title for the Ultra 64, and yeah, like I say, the Ultra 64 got delayed. I don't think we got it in the UK till like 97, so that's like 2 years. So yeah, I was really bummed out about it, and so yeah, the only other consoles left was the Sega Saturn or the Sony PlayStation. But of course, Sony were the new boys on the block back then, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? So do you know what I mean? Where Sega, they already had the foot in the door. Do you know what I mean? We'd had Sega for years. There was a, do you know what I mean? There was a big name in gaming. So I immediately got attracted towards the Sega Saturn. Do you know what I mean? After the Nintendo, the Ultra 64 was delayed, then that was it. My attention's turned to Sega, do you know what I mean? So yeah. So look, again, let me just look at my notes. I've always got my notes here because I forget things, and I try to remember dates and stuff like that, and I try to put things in sequence of them happening. So yeah, so the Sega Saturn was pretty much on my radar on my radar at this point, and HMV in Nottingham, they had the Sega Saturn on demo, but they had the Japanese import. So when it got launched, they got an import system, and they had it for demo purposes in their store, at the back of the store. And that's where we first played the Sega Saturn and stuff like that. So we was like playing Virtua Fighter on it and Daytona. So yeah, that just fueled the fire even more. So, and I've talked about this, or I've mentioned it in many of my videos before, that when growing up I used to hang around with two brothers that live around the corner. One was like a year older than me, and then his older brother was a few years older than us. So like when we was still in school, he was left school and he got his first job and everything, so he had like disposable income and stuff like that. And he got a Sega Saturn on launch day, and I can remember that he got like Virtua Fighter and Daytona on launch as well. I always thought that he had Sega Rally on launch as well, but yeah, a little bit of research that I did before doing this video, it turns out that he couldn't have had Sega Rally that early. So yeah, he must have got it around the same time that I got it for mine. But yeah, anyway, I just always remember him having Sega Rally. So maybe he got it like a little bit earlier than me or something. But I always thought that he had it on launch, but apparently it wasn't a launch title here. So there you go, more you know, innit? That's how the memory plays tricks with you, you see, because I always thought that he had that, but yeah. So that just fueled it more. Then, like I said, in the new year, late January, early February, I asked for mine. But it is really weird because like my birthday would have been in the October of 95, and then of course we had Christmas. So I don't know why I didn't ask for it for either my birthday or Christmas, because that would have made more sense. I probably would have had a more chance of getting one if I'd have just asked for it then. But I think I was probably still on the fence about getting, like, probably still trying to wait it out for the Ultra 64. So yeah, I maybe still a little bit on the fence, and that's why I didn't ask for one. But I can remember doing a deal with my parents of getting my Sega Saturn, and that deal was that I would front half the money. Do you know what I mean? I would pay half the money, like raise it somehow, and they would pay the other half of the money. That's the negotiation and the deal that eventually got my mum and dad on board to getting me one. They weren't going to buy me one straight out because, like I said, we'd not long had Christmas and that, so I think that was kind of a big no-no that they weren't just going to outright buy me this console. Because again, I looked on what the initial price was for the Sega Saturn as well, and according to Wiki, they reckon it was for $399.99. So yeah, 400 quid for a console. But I can't remember mine costing that much. I'm sure mine cost less than that. Like I don't know why, I've got the figure in my head, it was about 330 or something I paid for mine, and mine came with games. So I don't know if the price like decreased quite a lot in a short period of time, or whether the place I got it from I did a deal on or something, like a sale on or something like that. But I don't know, maybe I did end up paying more for it than I thought it cost. Again, the memory can be a tricky thing, can't it? You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, I did this deal with my mum and dad, and I can actually remember that some of the money that I got for Christmas ended up going towards the Sega Saturn. And I also used to help my mate out with his paper round, and like sometimes he didn't even used to do his paper round, I used to do it for him, so he used to give me his money and stuff like that. So I did raise quite a bit of money. I want to say I raised around about 100 quid for it, but in the end my mum and dad paid more than half. They paid, yeah, I didn't pay like my half basically. I paid some towards it, but they ended up paying for the rest of it in the end, you know, good old parents. So yeah, so I bought mine, and I got mine from Nottingham, Electronics Boutique in Nottingham. And I can remember being like a mixture of emotions of being like really excited, but also a little bit scared, because I had all this, because I bought it with cash. Do you know what I mean? So I had all this cash in my wallet, and I had to go into town and buy this Sega Saturn. I can remember just thinking, if somebody mugs me now, then they're going to get away with all my money, and I'm not going to get this Sega Saturn. And then when I got the Sega Saturn from Electronics Boutique, I can remember like carrying it home on the bus and everything. And I can remember like we used to have double-decker buses, and I thought if I sit downstairs close to the driver, I thought nobody's going to come on the bus and rob me and stuff like that. Like, do you know what I mean? I wasn't on my own, I was with a mate, but I thought, do you know what I mean? I just didn't want anything to happen to this console. And you know, with us only being young and having something kind of that cost a lot of money and stuff like that, you just worry about things like that, don't you? But yeah, we got it back from the store, got it home, no problems whatsoever. But yeah, I can remember that my Sega Saturn came with Virtua Fighter and Sega Rally. They weren't packing games, they were just separate games that came with it, so it was like part of the deal. So this is what I mean. I don't know if Electronics Boutique were selling them off a little bit cheaper, maybe they had some kind of offer on or sale on or something like that, or maybe it was just the going price, or like I said, again, maybe it did actually cost me more than I thought it cost. But yeah, £400 just seems like a lot of money for my mum and dad to say that they would do it. Even negotiating I pay half, they pay half, it still seems like a lot of money for them to have accepted that. But yeah, whatever. So I got this system, this brand new system, this Sega Saturn, and I can remember I got it home. It would have been a Saturday that I bought it on, and my parents would have been either out, or they might have been at work, or maybe my dad would have been on nights or something and he was still in bed or something like that. And I can remember setting it up to the living room TV at first, you know, just to check it out to see if everything was alright. And yeah, I can remember like putting on Virtua Fighter and just sitting there on the floor, you know, with like your legs crossed, sat on the floor, just playing Virtua Fighter and thinking it was the best thing ever. And that game has really aged now. If you go back and play the first Virtua Fighter, you know, with like the floaty, I call it moon physics, where the jumping is like dead slow and they go right up in the air and stuff like that. But I can remember thinking that was the next step in fighting games. I can remember thinking that, and yeah, and then Sega Rally, obviously, Sega Rally just blew me away. Because we used to play Sega Rally in the Quasar arcade when we used to go Quasar. I've talked about that a number of times. It used to be like a second home at one point during the 90s. We used to go to Quasar, because Quasar used to be at the back, and then at the front they used to have the arcade. And then when Quasar shut down, they just turned it into a Namco arcade, which was even better. So yeah, but amazing times challenging each other on the arcade cabs, and then having this game at home, a port of this on your home console. It was just like, it was magical, because it's just, do you know what I mean? Because you've gone like from 16-bit 2D graphics, and now you was on like 32-bit 3D graphics. Sorry about that. Cars, whenever I film a video, why does a noisy ass car always go past? Every time, innit? So yeah, I can just remember like buzzing my arse off over having this console. So yeah, they was the two games I got anyway with my console. So Virtua Fighter, Sega Rally. Now the first game that I ever bought for it was X-Men, Children of the Atom. And again, this is a game that my friend's older brother had on his console, and we used to play it around his house, and that's why I wanted it so much. So yeah, as soon as I'd saved up a bit of money, that was the first game that I ended up picking up for it, and that game was amazing. So yeah, it's a 2D fighter kind of Marvel game. Yeah, really good game. I think it still holds up, but that game is hard. I honestly used to find that game to be quite hard for a 2D fighter. I'm not sure if I ever beat it. I might have beat it a couple of times, but I can remember Magneto, because he was the last boss on that. I can remember that he was a bitch to beat. He was an absolute bitch to beat on that game. But yeah, really good game. I think it still holds up. And then after that, another 2D game that I wanted, because I was a fan of it in the arcades, and that was Street Fighter Alpha. So yeah, Street Fighter Alpha is an amazing game. Again, 2D fighter, Capcom, Street Fighter, can't go wrong. And yeah, those of you who know about the Sega Saturn know that 2D games on the Sega Saturn are just amazing. It's like it was built more for 2D than it was 3D, weren't it really, the Sega Saturn? And yeah, 2D fighters and stuff like that just work so perfect for it. It's a powerhouse for 2D games, so another brilliant game. But yeah, that was about it. That was about all I had for a long time. So what would that have been? That would have been like, what? 4 games? No, oh yeah, 4 games I had until October again, which would have been my birthday. And then on October, I can remember round about that time, I think I might have been, was that when I was buying the Saturn magazines and PlayStation magazines and stuff, even though I didn't have a PlayStation, but yeah, I would have been buying like those kind of magazines or looking through them. When I used to go to Virgin Megastore, we used to look through the magazines without even buying them sometimes. Because you could get away with it in those, like if you went to your local newsagents, they would say, are you buying that, lads, or something like that, to stop you from reading it. But in there you could just go like to the back, because they used to have like not sofas but like benches that you could sit on and read like magazines, like graphic novels and stuff like that on it. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't used to say it, they just used to stay in there forever. You didn't have to buy the magazines, you could just read them all in there. But yeah. So you used to get away with it in there. But yeah, in there I would have saw a game called Loaded. Now Loaded is a game that I've talked about again, which came out on the PlayStation and came out on the Sega Saturn, and it's like a top-down game where you just run around and shoot the shit out of everything. It's one of those kind of mindless, brainless, just great fun kind of games. Like I said, I can't remember if it would have been the official Sega Saturn magazine or it might have been a PlayStation magazine that I actually saw it in, but it was saying it's getting a Sega Saturn release as well. So when that came out, I went and got that on my birthday. Or I might have even, it might have been out a long time before then actually, but I can remember seeing that in a magazine and wanting that game for a long while, and then I got it for my birthday. I would have got it with like some birthday money or something like that. So yeah, and then that would have been it till Christmas, so 5 games, which in this day and age doesn't seem a lot to have 5 games throughout a year, but back then that was probably a lot, because we didn't used to get like, I don't know, I imagine kids nowadays, they just say, oh, I want a new game, and they just get a new game like this, and they can just order it off Amazon and get it like next day, whereas we used to go out. That used to be part of the excitement about buying games, didn't it? That you had to go to the store and actually buy the game, and then you would get on the bus, and then you would spend like all the bus trip like reading the back of the box and stuff like that. That was, do you know what I mean? It was a bit of an event going out to get a video game nowadays, but yeah. And you know, I don't know about you, but I don't come from a rich family or like that. But I mean, I suppose you could call us well off in the fact that both my parents worked and we got stuff as kids and stuff like that. But do you know what I mean? It was hard earned money. Do you know what I mean? No silver spoon stuff. We didn't get everything we wanted, like so. But yeah, but 5 games, that I class myself as lucky. That's probably was quite a lot for a 90s kid to have over the course of a year. But yeah, so because like the only times you used to get them was like I say Christmas and birthdays, and then like I say you maybe got like 1 game or something in between then. So yeah, 5 games. I count myself lucky. So yeah, and then Christmas 1996 came around, and the two games that I can remember getting for Christmas 1996 is Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Wipeout. And Wipeout was a game that I wanted because I played the PlayStation demo in Virgin Megastore and thought that was amazing. And yeah, so the fact that I could get it on Sega Saturn, that was straight on my Christmas list. And Street Fighter Alpha 2, yeah, I'd been waiting for that game again because, like I said, I was a fan of and already had Street Fighter Alpha. It was one of the earliest games that I ended up getting for the Sega Saturn. So when the sequel came out, that was a no-brainer. And again, I played that in the arcades at Quasar, and yeah, amazing. But yeah, Wipeout got a little bit neglected because I got it for the same Christmas as Street Fighter Alpha 2. So yeah, it got a little bit neglected because Street Fighter Alpha 2, I actually hammered that game. Hammered the shit out of that game. Yeah, I would say that it's, apart from Super Street Fighter 2, which is my definitive Street Fighter 2, I would go too far as say that Street Fighter Alpha 2 is the next best game, and only by a very small margin as well. Some days I might even put it as my favourite ever Street Fighter game, which might be a little bit controversial. Let me know what you think. What do you think of Street Fighter Alpha 2? Is it on par with with Street Fighter 2? For me, it can be. It can be on par or even a little bit better. Depends. I haven't played Street Fighter Alpha 2 for a long time now, so I might have to play it and see what I think, because I've been playing Super Street Fighter again on the Super Nintendo recently, and yeah, that's just been blowing me away because I absolutely love that game. Like I say, it's my definitive Street Fighter 2 game, but Street Fighter Alpha 2, at the time, I might have said it was better. But yeah, I absolutely love that game. Probably, it's a candidate for probably my favourite game on the system. KO2, Flying Squadron, and Street Fighter Alpha 2, probably my favourite games on the system. So yeah, so like I say, Wipeout got very neglected, but Wipeout, a brilliant game. Like I say, I'm sure most of you would have played it. Most of you probably played it more on the PlayStation, but yeah, still a great game on the Sega Saturn. Brilliant Wipeout. Yeah, and then another game I can remember getting was Rayman. So yeah, Rayman. And again, I played that on a demo kiosk, but it was the PlayStation version again that I would have played on the kiosk. And yeah, great game, Rayman. Hard, very hard. It ramps up very quickly. Like, it's such a beautiful game though, 2D, very colourful game. And yeah, you put it on nowadays and it still looks as new and fresh as it did back then. It's one of those games that just doesn't age, but it is one of those games that will kick your ass. I remember getting very pissed off. I might have rage quit a few times at Rayman. But yeah, and then that would have been it. That would have probably been the only game I got during 96. So yeah, I would have had those two games, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Wipeout, and then Rayman. So another 3 games, and then for Christmas 1997, I got 2 games again, which was Worms and Virtua Fighter 2. But now let me tell you, by this point, 1997, I'd have had a lot of experience with the PlayStation through my friends, my cousins and everything like that, hadn't it? So I was very much in the mindset that I wanted a PlayStation now. And I can actually remember asking for these 2 games just because I didn't know what else to ask for. Like, round about 97, I was really big into my movies. So that Christmas, I would have been asking for like all the latest movies on VHS and stuff like that. So I was very much movies, and I don't know, I wouldn't say that I was going off gaming, but it was probably like a very like low period, like to do with gaming anyway. I probably wasn't doing as much gaming around that thing, and I can remember like just asking for these 2 games, like, because I love Worms, and obviously Virtua Fighter 2 was a sequel to Virtua Fighter, so, and it's better. It's just a better game than the first game, so yeah. So 2 good games to ask for, but I can remember just asking them just to like bulk my Christmas presents up really, but yeah. I got them anyway. So yeah, Worms and Virtua Fighter 2. So yeah, and then in the new year, 1998. So in 1998 was the year that I actually got rid of my Sega Saturn. I know it's. I could just hear all the boos, a boo. But yeah, like I said, I was very much caught up in the PlayStation hype because the PlayStation just came along and it just destroyed everything in it. I mean, who knew that Sony was gonna just come out of nowhere, invent this system, just launch this console, and it was just gonna destroy everything? If only we knew. I mean, if you did, like I said, if before then it was Sega and Nintendo, so you would have thought Sega and Nintendo would have had it wrapped up, didn't you? And then the PlayStation just came out and destroyed them both, really, didn't it? So, yeah. But yeah, and then Sega, unfortunately, don't make consoles anymore. But yeah, so round about 98, this was when I was in the mindset that I wanted a PlayStation. I was going to get a PlayStation, and yeah, I was on the verge of getting rid of my Sega Saturn. So yeah, I might as well throw this in there and tell you how I got rid of my Sega Saturn and got my PlayStation and stuff like that. So yeah, 1998, I started going out with a girl, got a new girlfriend and stuff like that, and she had a little brother who had a PlayStation, and I can't remember how we worked this out, how we managed to convince him to let us do this, but he let me take his PlayStation to my house. I think I borrowed it for like a week or something like that, and I borrowed he like let me take a couple of games to play on it, and there was Cool Borders and Porsche Challenge, I think was the other one, and that just certified it for me that I was now very much in the PlayStation camp. This was it. Do you know what I mean? And then after that, there was another guy on my estate. His name was called Craig. I didn't really used to speak to him that much. He was more of a friend of a friend, but we was talking, and he had a PlayStation, but his PlayStation had a fault. It had that fault where, you know, where it worked, but it would only work if you turned it upside down. A lot of the early PlayStations had that fault for some reason. I don't know what that was all about. It's like it would work, but you had to turn the console upside down. And I managed to convince him that if I borrowed him some VHS movies for the weekend, that he would let me borrow his PlayStation. So I borrowed the PlayStation for the weekend, and he had Grand Theft Auto with it. And yeah, I can remember just being on Grand Theft Auto for like 2 days straight, and again, that was it. The Sega Saturn at this point was it was on its last legs. I wanted a PlayStation. It was just hanging in there. And then my mate started working at Burger King. One of his first jobs after school was Burger King. And he spent his whole first paycheck from Burger King getting a PlayStation, and he bought the the DualShock pack. Do you know when they put analog sticks on the PlayStation 1 controllers, and then the DualShock pack, and he bought a couple of games with it and stuff like that. But I think he only played on it for like once or twice, and then he put it back in his box and decided that he was going to sell it, that he didn't want it. So he ended up buying it. I think he just got caught up in the PlayStation hype, and he wanted one, and then he realised that he didn't want one, so he was selling it. And obviously he was going to sell it for less than what he bought it for. So this was my opportunity. I thought, I can buy this off him. So I told him that I would have it off him if I could sell my Sega Saturn. So I ended up selling my Sega Saturn. So let me tell you the story about how I sold my Sega Saturn. So here in Nottingham, we used to have a newspaper. I think we might still have it actually, called the Nottingham Evening Post. Like I said, I don't know if it's worldwide, countrywide, or if it is just a Nottinghamshire paper. But yeah, Nottingham Evening Post. And at the back of Nottingham Evening Post, you have the classified sections where you can sell and buy stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, I ended up putting an ad in the back of the Evening Post, and I can remember that ad cost me quite a bit of money as well. Do you know what I mean? Because the way they used to charge you for those ads, they used to charge you per word. Per word. They probably still do, I don't know. I don't know if anybody sells in the classifieds nowadays. I imagine they still do. But yeah, so it cost me quite a few quid just to advertise it, and I can remember that I made the advertisement quite big as well, because obviously I wanted it to stand out and to sell. And yeah, it did the job, because about 3 or 4 days it was in there before I got a phone call. Some lad phoned me up and said, like, oh, I'm interested in buying your Sega Saturn, do you mind if we come round tomorrow around about 6 o'clock-ish? Like, my dad will bring me around after he gets home from work and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, come round, I'll have it all ready for you and you can check it out, and if you want to buy it, you can buy it. Like, so that's what I did. But this is how much of a small world it is, right? Because the following day he came, and like I say, he came round, he was with both his parents, they came round, I had the Sega Saturn, but the lad that came round that the Sega Saturn was going to be bought for was a lad that actually went to my school, and I didn't know him. I think he knew me, that's how we knew we was at the same school, but I think he was in the year below me, or the year above me. What, 98? No, it would have been like the year below me. So yeah, he knew who I was. He said like, oh, you go to my school, like, and stuff like that. I was like, yeah. So it's a small world that I ended up actually selling my Sega Saturn to somebody, just like somebody random phoned up, came around, looked at it, bought it, and it ended up being a kid from my school basically. But yeah, like I say, I don't know who he was as such. I just knew he went to my school. Yeah, and that's it basically, and I used that money to buy my mate's PlayStation, and that's how I got my PlayStation. It was second hand, and I can remember like my parents being a bit pissed off with me about selling my Sega Saturn, you know, because I only had it like for a couple of years, and like I said, towards the end of that second year, I was already kind of in the PlayStation camp that I wanted to get rid of it and stuff like that. And I think my mum and dad I think my mum more so than my dad was a bit pissed off at me because, you know, because of the fuss I made about getting it, you know, like negotiating the half and half to buying it and stuff like that, and then just for me to turn around and sell it after a couple of years. Yeah, I think my mum was a bit pissed off. She might have even made a snarky comment about me getting a PlayStation, like, oh, how long are you going to have this one for? But, you know, but yeah, I never sold my PlayStation because I've still got that PlayStation boxed in my mum and dad's attic. I don't have it here with me for some reason. I keep saying that I'm going to bring it back every time I go up there, but I never do. But yeah, I should bring it back with me because I've still got my original PlayStation 2 fat console up in there as well, but I need to bring back. Anyway, so yeah, that's what happened to my Sega Saturn. That was how I got a Sega Saturn, what games I remember having with it, and yeah, how I eventually got rid of it and jumped ship probably a little bit too early. But in the UK, I think they discontinued the Sega Saturn in 1998 anyway here in the UK, so if I'd have kept on to it, I wouldn't have been able to get many more games apart from the ones that was already released for it. But yeah, I do often think like if I'd have kept it, what other games would I have got? Because like obviously, because I've got a full set now, there's a lot of games that I didn't even, like I wasn't even aware of back in the 90s, do you know what I mean? And so yeah, if I'd have saw those back in the 90s, I probably would have bought them, and it probably would have like made me keep my Sega Saturn longer probably. But yeah, like I said, you was kind of like a nobody, weren't you, if you didn't have a PlayStation. So I regret it in one sense, but I don't regret it in the other, because I think I did make at the time the right choice to get a PlayStation, because yeah, the PlayStation ended up being one of my favourite ever consoles and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, this has been a long video, so if you've stuck with it all the way through, thank you very much for watching again. And thank you very much for if you've watched any of the other memories videos. Like I say, there will be more memories videos coming soon. I just wanted to get this one out there first because, like I said, it fell in with the 25th birthday of the Sega Saturn. So yeah, let me know your memories. Did you have a Sega Saturn back in the day? If not, why not? Tell me, do you have a Sega Saturn now? What's your favourite Sega Saturn games and stuff like that? Yeah, just let me know your memories of the Sega Saturn, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later. Bye bye.